BitLocker Device Encryption versus Device Encryption versus BitLocker Encryption, Windows 10 Home versus Windows 10 Pro. What is what? For a long time, I thought that if you wanted BitLocker Encryption, you'd have to have Windows 10 Pro. I've discovered only today it's not the case. That's not been the case for quite some time. I stumbled across this today as I'm working on John Ed's laptop to prepare it, and I found that it is ready and able to do encryption, device encryption. In some places, Microsoft calls it BitLocker Device Encryption, and then they also throw in the term standard BitLocker encryption or standard BitLocker device encryption, because if Microsoft does nothing else, they are always clear and effective in their communications. Not. Did I leave out the word not? I mean, the word not belongs in there somewhere. No. Not clear and effective. So let me show. I'm going to switch over here to this laptop computer. And this is the screen that I stumbled across on this computer. Device encryption helps protect your files and folders from unauthorized access in case your device is lost or stolen. You need a Microsoft account to finish encrypting this device. Sign in with a Microsoft account instead. This is Windows 10 Home. I'm pressing the Windows key R, and then WinVer is already in the run line there. And this shows you right here, this is Windows 10 Home. So when I discovered this, I went and looked at the other Windows 10 computers that I have around here. And at one point I was thinking, okay, well, you have to have a recent version of Windows 10. I was thinking it was Windows 10 21H2. And then I thought, well, it looks like it might be 21H1. But then I found some computers that have 21H1 and 21H2, and they don't have device encryption. Turns out you have to have also TPM on the computer in order to have device encryption with Windows 10 Home. Now, I did some research to find some documentation about this, and I'll show a few of these screens. So I did a Google search, Windows 10 Home BitLocker. Windows 10 Home doesn't include BitLocker, but you can still protect your files using device encryption. Similar to BitLocker, device encryption is a feature designed to protect your data from unauthorized access in the unexpected case your laptop is lost or stolen. Okay, so it's not BitLocker, right? Then let's go take a look at, here's Microsoft.com. Encryption helps protect the data on your device that can be accessed by people who have authorization. If device encryption isn't available on your device, you might be able to turn on standard BitLocker encryption instead. Note that BitLocker isn't available on Windows 10 Home. So this is starting out here, apparently talking about Windows 10 Home, even though the title of this document really doesn't specify that. Nothing up here in the URL calls it Windows 10 Home. But encryption helps protect the data on your device. If device encryption isn't available on your Windows 10 Home computer, you might be able to turn on standard BitLocker encryption instead. If you have Windows 10 Pro, doesn't say that here. Note that BitLocker isn't available on Windows 10 Home Edition. But so that makes you think BitLocker isn't available on Windows 10. So this encryption they're talking about isn't available on Windows 10 Home, but it is. It's the traditional BitLocker encryption that's not available on Home. So to see, let's see. Now, you got to piece these together from various different documents. And let's see, down here, taskbar, manage BitLocker. You're only going to find that if you have Windows 10 Pro. You'll see this option if BitLocker is available for your device. If it isn't available on Windows 10 Home Edition. But that's what this article is about. This article is about Windows 10 Home, but you can't really find that in their text here. So then let's move on to another one to add to this blunder of communication. BitLocker versus device encryption. So what's the difference between those two? BitLocker device encryption actually works a bit differently than traditional BitLocker. What's traditional BitLocker? As well as I could piece together, when they say traditional BitLocker, they're talking about Windows 10 Pro. When they're talking about device encryption, they're talking about Windows 10 Home, but in this case, they're using the word BitLocker with it. Device encryption is seamless and only used if you sign in with a Microsoft account. Well, again, piecing together the different pieces of documentation, if you sign in with a Microsoft account with Windows 10 Home, you do get encryption. If you're Windows 10 Pro, you don't have to be using a Microsoft account. And only use if you sign with a Microsoft account or join your PC to a domain. Now, if you join to a domain, you have to have Pro. Windows 10 Home can't connect to a domain. So a user who forgets their password can recover their encryption key. It also can't encrypt removable disks. Well, with BitLocker, if you lose your encryption key, you're up a creek without a paddle. But with Windows 10 Home and the home version of encryption, you can recover your encryption key because it's stored in OneDrive. Well, I guess that also means you have to have OneDrive on, perhaps. And then it can't encrypt removable disks. But I think that Windows 10 Pro, BitLocker, can do removable disks. I haven't tried it. I don't know that for sure. But it looks like to me like this paragraph is also not clear, but that's from howtogeek.com. That's not Microsoft. Let's go on to another one. This is from TechNet at Microsoft. BitLocker device encryption versus device encryption. So here it looks like this one's referring to Pro and this one's referring to Home. Microsoft states now this is a question to the TechNet people, and we don't really need to read through the question. It's bringing up the difference between Home and Pro and this thing called device encryption and something called BitLocker device encryption. So then we come down here, and this answer is saying, you're right, it's not consistent. On Home, you will need a Microsoft account. Try that again. On Home, you will need a Microsoft account to use device encryption, since Microsoft does not want home users to enable BitLocker. What? Microsoft does not want home users to enable BitLocker since they fear that home users don't know what they are doing encrypting their device and will ultimately lose access to it. Okay. So why, but home users can get Windows 10 Pro. Just the word Pro versus the word Home, it doesn't control who's going to get it. So why log on with a Microsoft account? Because a Microsoft account is associated to OneDrive, and the recovery key of device encryption will be saved to this cloud storage automatically so that it is safely stored. Technically, device encryption is the same as BitLocker, with the limitation that you have no options to configure it and you have no way to require pre-boot authentication, but you rely on the TPM chip alone. So this implies, and I think I'm about to prove, that it requires TPM. That's what I found on the computers that I've looked at so far. The ones that don't have this device encryption available, they don't they don't have TPM. And here's a place where they're saying that the device encryption available on Windows 10 Home, it is BitLocker. You just can't configure it, and there's no way to require pre-boot authentication, but yet you have to have TPM chip. And with TPM chip, you also have the capability of secure boot. So you do have a pre-boot authentication through secure boot, but that's not happening through BitLocker. I'm deducing that. Okay, let me show this computer again. I'm going to come out, I'm going to drop out of this screen, press the Windows key, and then device encryption. There is a search result, device encryption, and it has the gear icon. Okay? Then on my computer number 2 is Windows 10 Pro, but it does not have TPM. So let's see what we got available here. WinVer, and this shows Windows 10 Pro, and it's on 20H2. And if I press the Windows key and type, let's see, device encryption, I get an option for manage BitLocker. So here it's actually calling it BitLocker in control panel. I can turn BitLocker on. I'm not going to, I'm not interested in that. Then I'm going to show a Windows 10 home computer that does not have TPM and see what that looks like. I'm going to pause for a moment. Here's my streaming computer. It shows here that I've got Windows 10 Home. I'll click OK there. And then press Windows key, device encryption. I don't get a settings gear icon, I just get a search result. All I can do here is search the web. I can't even find or see that menu option for device encryption through settings. It's not even present. This computer doesn't have TPM. It's too old for that. I need a new computer. And then let's come back over to this laptop. What I want to do here is I don't want my client to wind up setting this up because they get a prompt somewhere along the line asking if you want to do it. Now we probably will eventually be logging in with his Microsoft account. But there's also the issue on this computer that I don't want him inadvertently installing Windows 11 because his other computers are Windows 10 and this is going to be a seldom used computer. So I don't want to give him a seldom used computer that's different than the others. So I want to prevent it from trying to install Windows 11. So what I'm going to do here is disable TPM in CMOS settings and see if that will turn off both of those features. Now let's go back in here one more thing and look at device encryption settings. Here we have a turn off. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the turn off so that we stop that from happening. Your files won't be protected. Decryption can take a long time. And it is actually decrypting. So files were encrypted. That's kind of important that I stop that in progress. Now this is a little disturbing because this computer came brand new from HP, already set like this. And I didn't have it anywhere in my routine to go check on device encryption, either to finish the encryption by signing into the Microsoft account or turning off the encryption. So that's going to take a little while perhaps. You can see the time in the bottom right corner. I'm going to pause. Okay, that took a couple minutes. Encryption is turned off. While I was waiting for that, I noticed something else that's worth pointing out. Notice the bottom option here is device encryption, and that's the page that we're on right now. So what does my streaming computer say when we get to that point? I'll bring that up on screen. Going to the Windows button and then Settings. And here's that same screen. It starts with Windows Update, Delivery Optimization. The last two is for developers, and then Windows Insider programs. So coming back to the laptop computer, here's for developers, Windows Insider program, and there's device encryption. On my streaming computer, it's not there. It's just not there because this computer doesn't have TPM. So let's come back to this laptop. Device encryption is off. I could turn on, don't want to turn on. I want to get rid of this option entirely. And I also want to get rid of this option that says this PC can run Windows 11 because I don't want him to get tricked into clicking yes to get the most recent update or the latest and greatest operating system. You know, he might click yes on that. But even if he has the presence of mind not to, I don't want him having that nuisance message. He rarely is going. This is his traveling computer. Typically only uses it when he's going traveling, not very often. So you'd have to remember that. Don't want him to have to go down that road. He's in his later 80s, I think. So I'm going to see if I can get rid of that completely by going into CMOS and turning off TPM, disabling it. So I hit the power button here and then restart. And I'm not going to be able to show the CMOS setup screen through my capture device, so I'm going to show that through a webcam. I'm pausing the video now to set that up. Here's the BIOS setup screen for this laptop. It's an HP Spectre. The menu tabs across the top are hard for you to see, I think, in the video. This one at the top left is called Main, and then there's Security, Configuration, Boot Options, and Exit. The way the BIOS setup utility is set up on one model or brand of computer to another can vary. So the place you might find this setting on your computer could be different. I'll go to the tab called Security. That's the second one from the left on the top. And then come down to TPM device, shows as available. I'll press the Enter key to get a menu of choices, and I'm going to choose Hidden. So it's hidden from the operating system. Notice that this option that was right under it goes away. I'm going to come back and show it available. This option here was TPM state, could be enabled or disabled. When I make it hidden, it's not visible at all. I also want to show on boot, the boot menu is here. There's Secure Boot is showing as enabled. Now I want to see if that is still an option that's available. TPM device, I'm choosing hidden, and then come to boot options, and yeah, Secure Boot is still enabled. That's interesting. So I think what is going on here on this computer is TPM available on the right hand side of the screen. I'll move the computer over here. If the item is set to hidden, the TPM device is not visible in the operating system. But Secure Boot happens before the operating system loads. So it's the operating system where I want it to be hidden so that it's not trying to update to Windows 11 and not trying to enable BitLocker or device encryption, whatever you want to call it. And now let's come back to, well, I guess I can't come back to that yet. I've got to actually restart the computer. So I'm going to do escape, and then I don't want to ignore changes. So escape again. I want to save changes. So I'm going to go to the rightmost menu option at the top, press enter, and then save changes and exit. I'm choosing yes. So I'll let that restart and then go look and see if the device encryption is still an option that's available, and does it still say that it's ready for Windows 11. And I'm not totally sure on either count because this is still a new exploration with Windows 11. Not many computers that I have sold to clients since Windows 11 came along are capable. I don't think I said that right, but you probably have the idea of what I mean. So now I got to pause this. That pause was because I have to fuss with my capture device every time I restart this computer. So let's see now, Windows key, type device. I don't see device encryption in the search results, so space ENCR. Yeah, it just gives me the magnifying glass. It doesn't give me the settings anymore. Let's go to click on the menu on the Windows button and then settings and then update and security, and down here's the Windows Insider program. That next option was device encryption. It's no longer even on this computer. Here it shows this PC can run Windows 11. However, it hasn't evaluated this computer since I disabled TPM. So I suspect if I do check for updates, perhaps it's going to check again. No, that just went for updates. So how can I force it reevaluate this device for Windows 11? Some Windows 10 features aren't available in Windows 11. Certain apps and features may have additional requirements. Check device specifications. Well, it's the device specifications is what I've changed on this computer. I'm going to press a Control F and search for TPM. TPM version 2.0. Click for instructions how your PC might be enabled to meet this requirement. So it's not yet detecting this. How can I force it? I'm going to pause and check on something. There's an app on Windows 10 that came to us by virtue of Windows updates as when the time was rolled around for Windows 11. And it's this one here, Windows PC Health Check. So I'm going to try running PC Health Check. Press the Windows key, PC space Health, and there it is. It popped up in the search results, and see if that will fix me downward. Let's check if this PC meets the system requirements. If it does, you get the free upgrade once available. I'm going to click check now. This PC meets Windows 11 requirements. Windows 11 free coming soon. So it seems to think that it can. So that doesn't give me what I want. Pausing the recording again. Back into the BIOS setup utility to try an alternative here. Where it says TPM device hidden, I'm going to change that to be available and then come down to this option, TPM state, and actually disable it before hiding the TPM device. Perhaps that'll make a difference. I'm also thinking maybe I need to disable secure boot, but I'm going to hold off on that attempt and see if this is enough to do it. So saving changes and exit, and then when that comes back up, we'll see what I've got. Pausing the recording. Rebooted into Windows with that change that I just made in BIOS setup. Windows key and update, Windows update settings, press enter, and it still thinks that we can run it. Then I'll try PC space health and have it do a fresh check. Oops, wrong mouse. Check now. It's a pretty quick check, just right away. And I'm not totally confident that it actually took a fresh look at this computer because it was just so quick. Windows update last check, storage capacity, nothing in here that gives me a more thorough way to have it check. Don't care about that. Okay, so then the next thing is I'm going to go try turning off the secure boot. Pause recording. I'm back into the BIOS setup utility. Right arrow key 1, 2, 3 to boot options. Come down to secure boot, press the enter key, and then choose disabled and enter. Then go to the exit option, save changes and exit, and pause the recording. I've got a warning message here. A change to the operating system secure boot mode is pending. Please enter the passcode displayed below to complete the change. If you did not initiate this request, press the escape key to continue without accepting the pending change. Operating system boot mode change and 3409 plus the enter key to complete the change. 3409 and enter. Notice that did not show up on the screen anywhere. And then I'll pause the recording again. While I had the recording paused, I went back into the BIOS setup to make sure that that change stuck. Because after typing in that code and pressing enter, I don't think I saw any kind of confirmation message. So I want to be sure that that did hold. So it booted all the way up into Windows, and then I restarted again, went back into BIOS setup, and confirmed that the secure boot is indeed still off. So now we're going to find out, and I haven't checked on this, I'm discovering it live. This PC can run Windows 11. Wow. So PC space health check. I'm sure there's probably some ways to do this that I'm not aware. Now, wait a minute. This, oh yes, do check now and let it check. I didn't see that button depress. Try it again. Is that going to even try? Sign into, oh, is this sign into Microsoft? No, I'm not going to do that. Oh, wrong mouse. Because that's a thing. Windows 11 is free, coming soon. So, yeah, I disabled all of that, and it still is claiming that it can take it. Pausing the recording. Well, I'm going to let go of this regarding the Windows 11 upgrade. I knew about these two methods of dealing with it. One is in the registry and the other is in Group Policy Editor. For Group Policy Editor, you'd have to be using the Pro version, although there is actually a way to get to Policy Editor on the home version, but it takes jumping through some hoops. Even if I were to do that, I don't like the results, because this one here for the registry, the way that it works is you tell it to only do updates for release 21H1 or 21H2. And then when the next one comes along, you'd have to edit the registry in order to get that one. So what you're doing here is using a registry entry to force it to only do updates for this current particular version of Windows. And I don't find that acceptable. If I go down to the section on this website where it deals with the Group Policy Editor, this is it here, they're doing the same thing where they're restricting updates to just be for the current edition of Windows 10. So it's not worth having to update it every time we want to go to the next update. I will just train John Ed to decline the Windows 11 update. And if he happens to get it, then I'll just talk him through how to use it, and we'll live with it that way. So I hope this has been useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.